Hi guys, this is Atco. I want to talk to you guys today about basic electricity power. When you lose outage for, let's say, 4, 5, 6 hours. In my area, I get these 3 or 4 times a year. And you can live with those things. You could run off flashlights. You could run from watch a book or just get through for 4 or 5 hours or so. But it's not fun. You don't feel comfortable. What I do now, if I lose power, I use my lithium power station, and it holds power for 6-7 hours. I use my regular lights that I have in my living room. I run a small TV, and I have power so that I can charge my cell phones when I'm out of power, so that I can still get whatever I need to get on my cell phone. These have worked out great for me. I like them, and you can buy these things. They're very popular now, and you can get these lithium power packs for $200 or less, or you can pay $3,000 for less. It all depends what you want to use and how long you want to use the power. For me, these little ones that are for $200, they're great if you're going to camping and you just want to charge batteries when you say you're going to run a drone or just your cell phone or something. But then they run out of power pretty quick. And these bigger ones, if you need power that's going to get you by for a couple days, it's how often does that happen? I lived in this place I'm at for 35 years. I've only had maybe 3 outages for more than 12 hours at a time. What I have had, though, is, say, 4 to 6 hours 3 or 4 times a year. And so these have worked out great for me. The ones you want to get, though, that I would recommend are these ones here. This one, here's just 2 of them that I have. They make quite a few. I'm going to show a few other models that are out. But I want the ones that handle 300 or 500 watts. Not that you really need 300 or 500 watts, but I'd give that if you need it. And what's more important is the watt hours, because that will tell you how long something will last. What a watt hour means, trying to tell you how many watts would you have to use in 1 hour to use up the battery. So these have become very popular. I like this one that'll give you 500 or plus watt hours, and that's what both of these are. When I'm using emergency power, I'm using much less than the wattage that this can do, because if I ran a 500 watt item, that's going to burn out the battery in 1 hour. So what I want to look at is what could I use so that I can get by in that 6-hour range and not lose any power. Okay, so here's how this thing goes. Let's say that when these are brand new, and here I've got 2 of a Jackery 500, and I've got a RockPals 500. The Jackery, I think, is a 518 watt hour and can do 500 watts. This also runs 500 watts and can do 540 watt hours. I would consider them both the same kind of a product. Alright, so let's just take something for example. Let's say we wanted to have a unit fully charged. It's got 518 watt hours. What are you going to be able to get out of this thing while you lose power for 4 to 6 hours? Okay, first thing I have to tell you about these things when they talk about the watt hours. If you're running through these lithium batteries, these power packs, if you're running anything off of DC, you can get all of the power directly out of that battery and not really lose any power because of converting from the battery into whatever you're running into. But what's really great about these units is that they also have AC inverters in it, and you can plug in a regular AC plug that you have and it'll convert from the 12 volt battery into your AC power, and you can run off that. That's great. Well, most of us that if you're working for something in your house, you're going to want to use a regular AC 115 plug. The problem you have with these inverters is they have a loss in them when you're converting power from the 12 volt through the inverter and then out of whatever you're doing. And what you can use, you can lose up to 15% of the energy while you're converting everything from 12 volt to the inverter. All of them do this, so you have to just assume that you're going to lose that much of loss when you're counting how many watt hours do you need. So in this case, let's start with 518 when it's completely charged. Alright, now I'm going to lose 15% if I do everything from here using AC. I'm going to lose that loss through the inverter. Alright, if I'm using everything out of that, that brings me down to what do I have left is only 443 watt hours left. That's what I can use when I'm using plug everything in. Okay, now along with that, there's another issue with all of these lithium batteries. What's nice about these lithium batteries, you can burn that thing down to nothing and then recharge the thing from zero back up again. But they do have a limit themselves, that when you go down to say 10% left, you can take it down beyond and then charge it back. But it's hard on the batteries to go that far down and then recharge. So they recommend that only run your batteries down to 90% and then stop. And some of these won't even let them go beyond to 10%. I think the Jackery will go all the way down to zero, where the RockPals has a circuit in it that will turn it off when you've got 10% used. Doesn't mean that it's made any different. This one is not giving you the option to take it down to zero or not. Again, Jackery may, but you really recommend that you don't. So why don't you consider this? You're going to lose that last 10% just as well, because you need to store that last part of the battery so that you can recharge. Alright, so if I take that extra 10% out of that, that brings me down to an actual 391 watt hours that I can use plugging into the wall. And from a completely charged unit that's 518, I'm really down to 391 actual power. For one reason, I can show you why you want to have a 500 watt hour power. If you buy one that starts at 300 watt hours and then you go through all that, you're down to like 118 watt hours. So you want to have this 50 so you got this extra space available when you need the storage. Alright, so you're at 391. What can you do with it? Alright, you want to have the watt hours that you're using, the minimum, so that you get most of the time to run what you want to run. What do I run in my living room I've got two regular lamps. They're both 60-watt lamps, but they are LED lamps that have that same output of an old 60-watt plug, but these are LEDs, so these are like 9 watts each, so I get about 18 watts is all I need to run these two lamps, which are my normal day-to-day lamps in the living room. I also like to have a TV. I've got a 60-inch TV in my living room. I can't really run that with this thing because my 60-inch TV runs about 300 watts an hour. If I run this thing, I couldn't get much more than an hour before I'd run out of power. So it's not a good thing for me to have for my basic electricity. I have an old TV that we use one of the bedrooms upstairs. Just a 19-inch LED TV, and I use that, and I think it's like 19 watts, something like that, and I use that. Along with that, I also use my make sure I've got my cell phones fully charged, because you don't know how long you may go, and it seems like every time I lose power, I'm about ready to charge my cell phones. And at least with this thing, you plug that right into your lithium battery, and it will charge your cell phones. And you'll probably get about 12 watts if you kept that going. Obviously, if you could run it in, plug it into USB, you'll get less. It will use less power. But if you have to plug it in through your normal plug-in for charger, that works as well. So I don't need that for running for 4 to 8 hours, but I'm going to leave that on there anyways, as if I was charging a few different units. And I put all of those 3 units that I run all the time is only 53 watts of power. Okay, that's all I need for my basic electricity for just a short power outage. With this unit, with these units and running that 53 watts, I will get a little better than 7 hours continuously from the power out of these. Alright, I might burn out after that, but I don't usually use more than 4 to 6 hours when I have a power outage. I mean, that's what I've gotten more than 90% of the time since I've lived. So this works out just great for me. When everything comes back again, then I just charge it. Plug in the charger into the AC. You don't have to worry about solar power and all that stuff. This is usually for emergency power. Both of these will run under solar. If you guys are interested in those, we'll have a separate video about that. But for now, I use these for my emergency power. Alright, well, what if you don't have a 19-inch TV and you've got a 32-inch TV? Alright, this might take you to like 32 watts, and you'll get power maybe 5 hours altogether on that. Still good enough to get through most of the power that you need. Alright, what I like about these things also, you don't have to just plug it in, stick it around the bottom of the desk or something, and just wait till you lose power. I use these things for other things as well too. I do buy and sell a lot of old electronics, and if I'm going to Craigslist or into Hamfest, these things are great because I can go up to 500 watts. I'm not going to run it for 5 hours when I'm testing some equipment. I only need minutes to see if something works or not. And I can run something that can handle up to 500 watts, which is pretty much just about anything I'm going to need. And I use those things a lot. I also do a little DJ work, and I'll go out and I'll use these things to run my power. So you'd be surprised what you could use these things for. And definitely, and especially if you go camping or anything, you grab one of these with you. You'll get all the power you probably need is for lights, keep your cell phones running. You got to charge things like if you've got a drone or something. You'd be surprised knowing that you've got a portable power bank there of a lithium battery. That's good to have. These things, both of these are running about 13 pounds. And I love them. I love them. So what I've also got along with these, these two units are nice. I was just also showing you that there's another company called Maxoak. Same thing, a 500 watt hour. And there's a Suaoki, another unit. The G500, it's another 500 watt, 300 output. There's a few others as well. All of these go for around $500, and there's so much competitive units right now that you can always find one that has one on sale. I think if you just wanted to Amazon, probably anyone you get on, if you look on there, Amazon will have a discount coupon there that you could get 20, 50, maybe even $100 for one of your units. So also it's always good to look at the website of the company and see if they have any discounts. You're generally going to get it somewhere in that $450, which is a great deal. I think it's a lot to have this, and it's just a little extra thing to make you comfortable when you lose those little small outages. Okay, so that's it. I just thought I'd show you that, and talk to you another time. This is Atco, signing off.